Welcome to At Issue. I'm H. Wayne Wilson. Thank you so much for being with us. If you're a new viewer, thank you for joining us. Repeat viewers, you know how this works, a half-hour discussion of something that's really affecting Central Illinois, and something that's really affecting us is the issue of hunger. And we're going to talk to three experts on how we're trying to resolve the hunger problem in Central Illinois. First of all, let me introduce Larry Herman. Larry is the director of the Peoria Division of the Midwest Food Bank. We'll talk about the Midwest Food Bank momentarily. Thank you, Larry, for being here.
Thank you.
Marjorie LaFont is with us. You may all remember Marjorie LaFont as the nutrition educator at the University of Illinois Extension. She is now retired, kind of retired. She stays busy. But we'll give you the title of Nutrition Educator Emeritus.
That's fine.
And Pepper Bauer is here. Pepper is the president of the Peoria Area Anti-Hunger Coalition. How long have you been president?
I quit counting, but it's at least 20 years.
At least 20 years, and the Anti-Hunger Coalition it's 30 years old this year.
It was,
yeah. Okay, so let's talk a number to start with. This is a national figure. In the year 2006, 10.9% of Americans had insufficient food supply. 10.9% in 2006. 4 years later, last year, 14.5%. Nearly 15% of Americans have an insufficient food supply. What's it like in Central Illinois? You have about 40 pantries in your organization. What are you seeing in terms of the growth in hunger?
We see the growth in Central Illinois. It has been a steady growth for the last few years. Probably the last 10 years, it seems like it's slowly crept back up. You see in the paper sometimes, like pantries will be on the front page showing their empty shelves and how they're going hand to mouth, and that's a true indication of what's going on in Peoria. Even in the rural areas, it's not quite as many people come because of they have to drive and the gas issue, but still it stays steady and there's still a goodly number of people. The coalition, of which we say there's 40 pantries, we probably serve somewhere in the ballpark of 15,000 individuals a month.
Every month, 15,000?
Yeah.
When you say the gas issue, what are you talking about?
Well, if you're in a rural area, your pantry is not on a city bus line, or you don't have homes next to it, people actually, they have to drive to you, which means they have to pay gas. And sometimes it's an issue of, do I have the money to go to the food pantry? So.
We're going to talk in a minute about something called Tender Mercies. It's a solution to the hunger problem, and we'll talk with Larry about that in just a moment. But first, let's find out where does food come from for all the food pantries? What are the sources of food?
Well, we have a lot of different food sources, H. Wayne. Through Midwest Food Bank, we have large companies that donate, and they donate by the semi-load because we serve so many pantries there. Then we have Heart of Illinois Harvest that goes around to the supermarkets and also to restaurants and schools and hospitals and pick up leftover food from banquets and dinners. It's frozen. That's taken primarily to soup kitchens. But then at supermarkets, they pick up primarily deli, bakery items, and they take those to food pantries, and they service just the Peoria area. And then we have the Peoria Area Food Bank, which is a part of Feeding America, which is a national food banking network. And they are the administrators of the Commodity Food Program, which is through USDA. There have been major changes in the Commodity Food Program. We used to get a number of food items each month. Now they only get about 4 different food items, and we don't have near the quantity of commodity foods that we've had in previous years.
For instance, what are we missing from USDA?
Well, everybody remembers cheese.
Yep.
Back in the 80s, we had tons and tons of cheese, and people would get 3 or 4 blocks of 5-pound blocks of cheese per family. Well, we don't have cheese anymore, and we don't have butter anymore. Sometimes we have peanut butter, but it's not every month. So what they're getting now, canned beans, canned applesauce, canned peas, canned corn. We get frozen whole chickens, canned salmon. So those are just some of the items that we've had recently.
And then there's a Canathon.
We do have our Canathon in March. The Anti-Hunger Coalition does one. We usually get 90 to 100,000 pounds of food, which we distribute among our pantries. Of course, that only lasts everybody a couple months, but it's a big help. Also, many pantries have food drives in their neighborhoods or local schools or their churches. And donations from local groups are also very important to the pantry, and sometimes they have to buy staples.
And when you say buy staples, you get cash contributions?
Most pantries do get some. I know my pantry in particular is a church pantry, so that sometimes we get memorials if somebody passes away, or just donations from people for different things, or maybe say a local school or the American Legion or something does a cash drive, and they give us some cash, and then I can go and buy milk or some fresh staples that we can't get elsewhere.
I want to bring the issue home to everybody. We started with a national number. I'd like to show you or discuss with you a local number. 18% of Peoria's population is below the poverty line, and usually the poverty line is a pretty good indication of whether or not they're going to have food supply problems. 18%, so almost 1 in 5. And for children, how bad is it?
It's 1 in 4 children. HON in this area, we know that each month at least 1 in 4 children will go to bed hungry at least sometime during the month. And that's why our National School Breakfast Program and the National School Lunch Program are so important, because for many of our poverty level children, that is the main meal of the day that they receive.
Now, let's talk about Midwest Food Bank. We'll talk about what it is, but I want to talk about how it got started and why it got started. It's not that old.
No, the organization started in 2003 just on a farm in McLean County, and just out of the need, it has increased to 4 different warehouses throughout the Midwest and the southern part of the United States. And it has been a labor of love by many people to come together and try to meet the needs in their community.
You have 4 distribution centers?
Yes, one in Peoria, Illinois, Bloomington, Illinois, Indianapolis, Indiana, and Peachtree, Georgia.
Brand new in Peachtree.
Brand new. It just opened this month.
So, unfortunately, this is a growth industry.
This is a growth industry, unfortunately, very much so.
Marjorie mentioned you get large amounts of food from corporations?
We get large amounts of food from corporations, logistic facilities. There's always a backlog or products that are in the food industry that never reach the retail shelves. So what the Midwest Food Bank doing is drawing these products and collecting them from a national level for a local need through our trucking and logistics operations.
If you get large amounts of food that might not be used at some point in time, does that mean that you're getting food that the hungry people might not know what to do with?
Very much so. A lot of times the items that we get is a challenge, and because of these 2 ladies here, they really help us discern what these items are and how to best distribute them through recipes and through trial and error. And we never know what we're going to get in a week's time. It's an amazing process.
So does Larry call you?
I stop by regularly. I'm a regular visitor there.
Yeah.
Because I have to have some lead time on it. For example, we've had a lot of beans in the last few months, but none of the beans have been the same. Some have been freeze-dried, some have been bean pieces, some have been split beans, and each one of them has to be cooked in a different way. The bean pieces, when they cook up, they're like refried beans, they're like mashed beans, so you can't use them in a recipe you'd use whole beans in. I guess the most unusual product we had was, about a year ago, we had sauerkraut juice. So that one was a real challenge. When we first opened, we had a number of different kinds of the textured vegetable protein, which is soy protein. First month we put it out on the line, nobody took it because they didn't know what to do with it. So after a couple of months of that, I said, well, why don't I make a pot of chili with it? So I made chili using the TVP. People tasted it, so they're a lot more likely to do it. So I've continued that. Each month, the recipes we have on the recipe sheet, I will make one of them, and we serve them because when the food pantry people come through, they can see it and they can taste it. Then they can tell the people that come to their individual pantries how to use it, and so we can get the products used.
You made chili with a TVP?
Yes, textured vegetable protein, which is soy protein.
Now we know what WTVP stands for, the television station.
No.
Textured vegetable protein?
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that's not true. That's not true.
No, it's not. No, it's a very, very nutritious product. It's made from soybeans. It's in a lot of your commercial food products, your processed foods. If your processed food has protein in it, when you look on the food label, it is probably a soybean product. And most people don't know how to use it. Back in the early 70s, we had a lot of soy products and we were teaching people to use them. Well, they kind of weren't popular for about 30 years and now they've come back. And there's lots of ways you can use them. And so we've been teaching families, giving them recipes on how to use it.
My director's reminding me that there was tofu at one time. We still see
Well,
tofu.
Tofu is a soy product and it's a very healthy product. Now, we've not had any tofu, I don't believe, at Midwest. I don't remember it.
Well, you mentioned soybean is one of the products that you receive, and I'm sure that there are many people out there who say, soybeans, I'm not sure where to go. You have developed a solution for that in rice and other things.
Well, part of the perspective of the Midwest Food Bank is to step into solutions and to provide for those in need. And we quite regularly would receive donations and also purchase products of rice, dehydrated beans, pinto beans, and the textured vegetable protein. And as these items come in, we put ourselves at the table of the recipient every day to try to understand what they're receiving. And it just made sense for us to come up with a way to combine these items and maybe give them a nutrient boost and a flavoring additive, a natural chicken flavoring. And with that is how the Tender Mercies program was born, out of need.
Let's take a look at Midwest Food Bank and what Tender Mercies is, and we'll show you that out. And this is out at Pioneer Park in Peoria at the distribution center for the Peoria division of Midwest Food Bank. Larry, this is the interior now of the warehouse.
This is the interior of our warehouse with the many different boxed commodities, boxed products, different volunteer help, does a lot of sorting of these items. This would be just one end of the warehouse. This is the actual Tender Mercies product that we box and then we make with volunteers there. It comes in an easy preparation package. It's pictorial and descriptions on how to make the product. It just takes 5 cups of water and the bag, you can see the level line there. You can use the bag as a leveling device for your water. You fill that up twice and that will be the correct amount of water to add to the product to get the water to a boil.
We've got our water boiling.
Yes, and once the water is boiled, then you will dump the product in, place the product in the water, and let that boil for a few minutes, and then put it on simmer, and in about 20 minutes you'll have a delicious casserole rice type meal that children and adults and many multicultural people gravitate towards. The demand has caused us to come up with a way to mechanize the system. This is our Tender Mercies machine. It is automated and it will, in the future here this month, start making about 35 bags a minute when we get very large orders that come in. We just did recently receive an order for 50,000 packages. This is one of the many semis that come in and they are unloaded by volunteers. Our volunteer drivers from across the Midwest here volunteer their time and they bring these the food products into the warehouse to be distributed here locally.
You mentioned 2 things I want to follow up on. One
Sure.
is volunteers. We'll talk about that in a minute. But you talked about mass producing with that machine. That's brand new.
Yes, it is.
So when you say you just got an order in, how does that work? You don't charge for these normally, do you?
The Tender Mercies program will be a sponsorship program and is meant to reach the people who are in need on a more of a national level than just here locally. We're going to do local and national with this program. It'll enlarge the arena of who we're able to serve. And so we just had a family sponsor several pallets of this product in Kansas that went to serve pantries in their area. So they get on our website of tendermercies.com and they can order up this product and we'll send it out to them.
So they can pay for food pantries in a particular community?
Right. A donor or philanthropist can use the Midwest Food Bank as providing food in in the neighborhoods, in their own backyard, in their communities, anywhere in the United States. The Midwest Food Bank receives nothing. We make these at cost, so 100% of their donation goes back to their own communities.
And volunteers is the other topic I want to approach. You mentioned the truck drivers are volunteer truck drivers?
Yeah, all of our truck drivers are volunteer. We have an email list of about 70 volunteers that donate their time to drive one of the 7 trucks that we have that are on the road.
And inside the warehouse, moving the product around, volunteers?
We have each location we have has approximately 3 paid positions. They're working on mission wages, and the rest is all volunteer. In Peoria, we'll have about 30,000 volunteer hours this year on record.
Volunteers are the backbone of food pantries.
They are. Most of the pantries in the Peoria area are church food pantries or affiliated with some organization like that, and they're mostly volunteers, senior citizens and retired folks and just people who are interested in helping with the problem.
And you do use Tender Mercies at your food pantry?
We do. The people love it. They really do. It's very good. I've had it.
Do they enhance it in any way?
They do. Every week we'll hear somebody telling us something, especially during the summer produce season. They cut up green peppers in it, or they put hot peppers in it. People like to do that. They've put chicken in it. They've made it so many different ways, and it's always fun to hear what they've done with it.
I had an opportunity to have Tender Mercies out at your place, and why didn't we put hot peppers in it? That sounds good.
Well, we could have. That's the way I eat it.
I want to go back and talk to you about this. Now, you didn't have anything to do with Tender Mercies recipe. That was
No.
something that you put together with some product and that's soy. It's product from ADM, actually.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And then the beans and rice and chicken flavoring.
And vitamin supplement added to that.
Okay.
Right.
And you have the challenge that and you have to do it on a monthly basis because you don't know what's coming in.
Right, and sometimes I only have 3 or 4 days notice. If we get a lot of product in and we know it's going to be available on loadout, then we need to develop a sheet of how to use it. So, and other times, like I just picked up the beans yesterday that we're going to have in November, so I've got a couple of weeks to work on them. It's freeze-dried red beans we'll be working with in November.
So how short are we on food in the food pantries that comprise the Anti-Hunger Coalition here?
I think most pantries are hand to mouth. They go from month to month. Looking forward to their load-out date at the Midwest Food Bank to where they can load up again. We go there monthly. Also, there's the Peoria Food Bank. Many people go there weekly, and I think people just keep scrounging and they go month to month to see what they can get.
So where are you? You're individual. You're at St. John's Lutheran?
St. John Lutheran in Bartonville, yeah.
And where are you right now with your food pantry?
We're doing real well. From the Midwest Food Bank and the various canathons and different things, we're able to keep ahead of it at this point in time. Like I said, I didn't have quite the increase that the city ones do because people have to drive to get to us. We serve pretty much a rural community. We serve Hannah City, Glassford, Mapleton, those kind of places, and people have to physically drive to go there. Many of our people, they carpool, or they have friends bring them, or do all kinds of ways to save gas so they can just come to get stuff. So we haven't been deluged with more people than we can handle, and we usually stay ahead of it.
Do you have people there's a limit to how often they can come to the food pantry?
Every pantry's different. It depends on their location and maybe how much food they have and things like that. My pantry, actually, you can come anytime we're open. We years ago, when my pantry's about 27 years old now, and when we started, we said we would do that, and if we ever ran out of food, then we would quit doing that, and we just put it in God's hands and said, when we give, if it ever happens, and it's never happened, we've never run out. So we've been able to keep doing that. And so we've always allowed people, if they need it, they can come anytime they need it. But many pantries in the city have so little that they do set things like once every 3 months or once a month. Or
Stories just like hers that really drives the Tender Mercies program, because it's the lowest cost. 50 cents feeds a family of 4 to 5 people. and the highest nutrition. So from a food bank's perspective, we're meeting a cost structure and we're meeting a high nutrition at the same time that we can put out in a mass quantity. So it's the most efficient, very efficient model.
One of the things we have, H. Wayne, in our community, through the Anti-Hunger Coalition, we have an emergency food directory. So we list all the pantries in there, where they're located, what hours that they're open. So, for example, if an agency gets a call, or even if a church gets a call, and they need to know where to send someone to get food, they can look in that directory, and they can tell them exactly where to go. And we like to be able to refer families to a place that it's open, because if you refer to some place and they go, the doors are shut, they can't get in, that's not good. So through our directory, and then also at Midwest Food Bank, we have the listing of the pantries and know when they're open too. So we can direct people to get food right now when they need it.
You mentioned that 25% of children in Peoria are not meeting the sufficient food levels that they require. We do have schools with the reduced lunch and free lunch
Right.
program, which
Yes.
helps. But what happens during the summer?
Well, during the summer, there is the Summer Food Service Program, which is an extension of the National School Lunch Program. But schools, our agencies, nonprofit agencies, have to sponsor that program in their community. And some schools will do it. For example, last year here in Peoria, the Peoria School District did it. But because they didn't have a Title I summer school, they were only at 2 schools. They were at Sterling School and at Manual High School. Well, that didn't cover the near north side of Peoria or other areas, because children need to be able to walk to those communities or to those schools to get food. Another thing that's happened, H. Wayne, is that some of our schools have recognized that the children that get free breakfast and free lunch go home for the weekend to home with no food. And so we have schools and organizations and communities that have started a backpack program. I know Riverview School, Metamora, Eureka, then in Peoria, the Boys and Girls Club serves children from Glen Oak School. So they will pack a backpack with some snack items. It usually has some granola type bars, some juice, and in many of them they're putting a package of Tender Mercies or maybe a box of dinner mix, so that there's food at home. Many of them have a loaf of bread and a jar of peanut butter. So there's food for those children to eat on the weekend until Monday comes around and get school breakfast.
And one of the nice things about Tender Mercies is there's a shelf life to it.
Right.
Yeah.
Lasts about
6 to 8 months right now.
6 to 8 months,
Right.
so you can ship it someplace and not have to
Certainly,
worry about
certainly.
that. Where does Midwest Food Bank, I mean, you already talked about you get corporate donations of food that might not be used elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
How else are you funded?
We're about 90% funded right through just our local individuals and people that recognize that almost 100%, 99% of their donation is going to go on somebody's table. And so we just got a lot of funding from mostly individuals through the mail every day. And we
And-
do get some corporate sponsorship as well.
And the Anti-Hunger Coalition gets some private funding also.
Yes, yeah, most of ours donations. Our individual pantries get donations, but as a group, we can receive donations from people also.
Where you mentioned the website for Tender Mercies earlier,
TenderMercies.com,
and does Midwest Food Bank have a website?
MidwestFoodBank.org.
MidwestFoodBank.org and TenderMercies.com.
Correct.
And you have a Facebook page?
Yeah, the Anti-Hunger Coalition does have a Facebook page. It's just Peoria Area Anti-Hunger Coalition.
That's simple, all right.
Yeah.
We're working on getting a website so we can put the food directory on the website and make it easier for people to access, but it's not up yet.
So I think the most critical issue here right now is, yes, there are people who are hungry in Peoria and the surrounding communities, but we need supply for those people that are hungry. What's the easiest way right now? I mean, you've mentioned the website, et cetera, but what's the easiest way? What's the best way that a citizen can help either the Anti-Hunger Coalition or Midwest Food Bank or other food banks and other pantries? An easy way.
An easy way. Well, if you
Write a check to Pepper Bauer?
Yeah.
there you go. Almost every area of the city has a food pantry. Find the one local to you and donate something or donate money. there's not a place in the city where there isn't a pantry close to you.
So develop a relationship with your local food pantry.
Yeah.
Develop a relationship. Also, check with that pantry and see what they need. Many times, that pantry can take the donated dollars and go buy at wholesale, and much cheaper than if you took your dollars to a retail supermarket and bought it. We encourage families when they have buy one get one free. Buy one for your family, give the free one to your food pantry. So lots of different ways. And then when we have food drives, give generously, because we have the Food Share Canathon in March, which is it's a major Central Illinois project. And Kroger's and Channel 19 and Curbs, a bunch of sponsors. And so give generously, because our word is out.
We've received our marching orders from Marjorie LaFont, who is the nutrition expert in Central Illinois. Larry Herman, thank you so much for being with us.
welcome.
Marjorie, again, thank you for sharing your expertise. Pepper Bauer, president for life of the of the Peoria Area Anti-Hunger Coalition, which is celebrating 30 years
30
this
years.
year. So
Yes.
congratulations. We'll be back next week with another edition of At Issue, when we're going to be talking about the small community of Dunlap. Yes, Dunlap is growing, but can a town of 1,400 handle the growth that it's undergoing? We'll talk about that with the leaders of Dunlap next week on At Issue.